How have you been?
I've been good, like really good. I really
Nice.
wanted to tell you about my regression here in
Yes.
Miami. So I'm teaching the level 2 class
Uh-huh.
and the companion class. But what they do is they have me do like a mock session that really isn't a mock session because I know how to put myself into hypnosis.
Got
So they just kind of practice on me. I put myself into hypnosis and then they kind of guide me through past life.
Uh-huh. So, but you're still going into a past life, right? Even though
Mhm.
you know how to do
Yeah.
it yourself.
Well, all I do, I just put myself into that theta state, and then they guide me. I can't do it by myself.
I understand. I got you.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
happened? What came through?
So this time it was really crazy because this time, I guess maybe because we're in Miami and close to the water, this one time I went to a past life in Atlantis. So excited, you being the Atlantis guru.
I don't
This
know
is
about guru, but all
well, this is new information that I've never read in Dolores's book
right.
ever.
I'm
And
all
I was
ears.
talking to Julia about this, and I asked her if she'd ever heard this information. She said no. So I get to this past life. First, I start out as a little boy, and it didn't look like Atlantis. I didn't know where I was. I was just a little boy studying. I had this big book in front of me, and I just wanted to go outside and play. And but my father really wanted me to study. I was learning the law. I wanted to be with my friends and go outside. But no, I was learning the law. So
What
I
lo-
grew
like
up.
what
It
law?
was like they in Atlantis they had, situations that needed like the criminal justice system. Like they had people that would steal. My job when I grew up, when I was older, and then they moved me to when I was older. I became a judge essentially. So my job was domestic disputes kind of thing, like where I would help people that were having a problem with one another, like families. I
Mm.
didn't have a family of my own. I had a family when I was like younger, but my wife, or not wife, but my mate, died of like a illness when she was pregnant with our first kid. So I didn't have a family. I grew up and then I became like a judge. And there were two other people that were judges with me. There was like a tall person and a shorter person, which ended up being Julia and Kaya. So
What?
anyway,
No way.
yes, yes.
So all
We
three of y'all
there
were
all
judges.
three of us were judges.
Julia Cannon and
Yes, Kaya Wittenberg. Yes.
no way.
Yes. Well, I recognized them before in some other lifetimes.
Nailed it.
So I didn't recognize them right away. I didn't know it was them, but I just when they brought me after the life into the lifetime review, I recognized them. So there was a crisis going on in Atlantis at that time, where because of these certain genetic illnesses, like the blood illnesses, they decided they were going to use like slice a gene of animals, which I've heard of before, that they did some genetic mutations, would intercept the genes and mix them with animal DNA. They were trying to create a superior Atlantean.
Ah, is that what they're trying to do? Okay.
In the session, that's what I got. And so they were trying to like make a perfect person. And they would mix DNA with reptile skin, like reptiles. If they wanted to make like for battle, like really thick skin, it would be like reptile like skin, or they would mix a lot of people with cat DNA, feline DNA for agility. It was like fish DNA. Like in my session, I saw all different kinds of mutated people pretty much. And not in my lifetime Atlantis, but the lifetime before mine is when this started.
Oh,
So by the time I was a judge, this had gotten out of control. They were starting to see the negative side effects. And what was happening and why I became a judge was, so they did all these mutations, but these people couldn't fit into society any longer because of their differences. They would start to fight one another, and they just they didn't know what to do with these mutated people. So the I guess the government or whatever you would call that in Atlantis decided they needed to find somewhere for these people to go, like a place for them to go where they would get help and
Right.
they would separate them.
They couldn't
they
kill
didn't.
them or destroy them. They let them live out their lives.
Well, this is what happened. Okay, so this is what they told Julia Kaya and I, that our job, we were going to change jobs. We were getting a promotion. Our job was to figure out who could stay in the society and who would go to this island. They took an island that was off the northern coast of Atlantis, and they would take all these mutated people that literally could not, well, who had trouble staying and living in Atlantis because they were causing so much violent behavior or whatever. So our job was to choose who stays or who goes, which is like so horrible. So anyway, we were told that they had, allocated food money and resources, and that there was like a really nice place for them to go. It was on an island and they would be really well taken care of. This is what we believed.
It sounds familiar.
Oh, really? Have you heard this before?
Well, I want to hear the ending.
Okay.
I'm like,
I've never heard this before.
not the book, but this sounds familiar.
Okay. So we decided, based on them telling us that they would be going to this great place, and some parents actually chose to drop their babies off to go to this island, thinking they would get excellent care and help. And we believed there to be a lot of care and help as well.
So these were like babies as well?
Some babies, like, because it seemed like the Atlantean society was very like into appearances. Some of the parents didn't want their baby if it had major physical mutation. They wanted to not be seen with them, which is sad. So they would drop them off to go to the island. So
with the people that had DNA changes as well.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So no one ever heard anything bad about the island. No one had ever heard, oh, this is a bad place or something wrong with this island or anything like that. Meanwhile, Julia and Kaya and I are being taken to like parties and we were like treated like royalty. And this is really interesting. I don't know if you knew this, but I recognized a lot of the Atlantean parties and structures and temples. I went to them in Egypt. How is that the same? Like, how did Atlantis get to Egypt? Because those pillars are the same.
Okay.
And the parties in my regression, when I went to Atlantis, they were really tall pillars, really like you walk in, it was super, super grand. The parties were really grand and they had music and everything. And it looked like a lot of temples I saw in Egypt. Maybe they were different, but they really looked the same.
Right. What did the people look like in the Atlantean parties? What did they look like?
They wore like really soft clothes. Like we wore really soft robes, which is interesting. But in other sessions that other people have done, they wore this kind of bodysuit. But I don't think it had gotten to that point. The technology wasn't at the pinnacle when I was reliving this life or remembering this lifetime.
When they were changing the DNA or further?
In the time period that I went to, it looked like it was before they started wearing those, bodysuits.
Okay, these advanced bodysuits.
Yeah, it looked like it was advancing, but it hadn't gotten to that part yet.
All right.
So they wore really soft clothes.
You was wearing soft clothes.
Soft. Yes, but oh my God, I want someone to invent those sandals because my sandals are amazing. Like it had some kind of like cushion on the bottom that correlated to different parts of my body. Like I was an old man and I could walk and bounce and it was amazing. It was like it fit to my feet and then it would like take the pressure off different parts of my of body.
Yeah, we
Someone
should
needs
be
to
able to
invent
invent that.
that. Yeah, someone needs to do this. It's
Nice.
amazing.
So the connection, I'll go through it real quick. The
Yeah.
connection between Atlantis and ancient Egypt with the pillars and everything.
Yeah, it's
So
insane.
when Atlantis was about to fall, people were expanding out. They had empires in other regions as well, all throughout the Mediterranean, Northern Europe, Southern Europe,
Oh,
Egypt, Africa, and I guess you could think of Egypt back then, before Atlantis fell. Egypt was like an outpost. So
right,
one of their locations, an outpost. It wasn't heavily populated, but it was a destination where they could go.
right.
But later, they knew Atlantis was falling. I think like over 1 million people evacuated. They went to like different regions of Europe at first. Some already went to Egypt throughout the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and so on. But as time went on, since all the bad things were happening, a lot of the Atlanteans were like shunned away, and like from France, from Spain, the different mountain regions, Northern Europe, they were like, no, you don't belong here. You need to leave. Throughout Italy and Greece, same thing, because they were very territorial. They tried to rule them, and from what I understand, and they weren't the nicest people to them because they
Right,
held on to all their technology and all their advancements. So
right,
Egypt was growing, and it wasn't heavily populated, so that a lot of Atlanteans went to ancient Egypt at the time and built it up, and they brought their technology and their knowledge to ancient Egypt, and that's where you supposedly get the pyramids and
right,
pillars, and that they knew how to transform stone and levitation. That's why they were able to build these objects, these massive objects. And then I was going to
right.
ask you if you knew what the pillars were, by any chance. Like, what
They
was,
look like they were made out of pure stone.
okay. Do you know what they were used, like why they were there and what they used them for?
The big pillars, it
Yeah.
just looked like that was the entrance into this grand party.
Okay.
Like it was, the ceilings were like 100 feet high.
Gotcha.
And they had X's going down the ceiling. X's.
X's? Like an X?
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna love this.
What's
On
that?
the walls, on the walls of the building and in the law office building, I could see the language. And guess what the language of Atlantis looked like?
Hmm. I don't know. Egypt
Triangles.
triangles?
Like little triangles, bits and pieces. Yep.
Like this one?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Triangles, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So that was their
Like
language?
that was their language. I could
Ah,
not read it, but I was it really interested that it was triangles. It was
gotcha. I
interesting.
thought it would look like letters and everything.
It didn't look like letters at all. It was very angular, like just kind of like a triangle and then a piece of a triangle. Like a triangle piece of a triangle and then like a hook off the triangle. It
Hmm.
was really just interesting.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you saw that on the wall?
I saw that on the wall because on my law office, like it was really interesting because there was like a framed, looked like an old law. Like it was really, really old looking. And it was, the language was made out of triangles.
Wow.
Bits and pieces
Do,
of
do you know what
triangles.
it meant? Do you know what it said?
I don't remember to go back into hypnosis. I don't
Sarah, go back
know, but
under.
I know. But it was like bits and it was really interesting. And in our law office, there was like this big crystal, like a prism, like it was like supposed to be for clarity. Like you look at this crystal and it helps you with clarity. And our law offices overlooked the moat. Like there was a moat around the Capitol, and my chamber or whatever overlooked this moat, and then Kaya's and Julia's did as well. Like I think it was the color of the ocean was supposed to bring, like, I don't know, I don't remember, but some kind of, it was something important for us. Okay. But anyway, I can finish telling you. So
Yeah.
we started to wonder, you know, where are these people going exactly? Because we had sent so many people over there.
Yes.
We just demanded to see this island because nobody came back. I mean, we never heard anything about it. We wanted to make sure, you know, this is really true, especially after so many, you know, they told us so many things that were amazing about the island, and you know, we wanted to just see, make sure, because so many people had gone over there. And you know, every time we asked about it, they were like, oh yeah, you know, we can't really take you over there right now. It's just, you know, you guys are so busy. We'll take you another time. It was like we were just always put off, you know, or oh, there's a problem with today. And they're, you know, and finally we just demanded, we need to go right now. You can't just put us off any longer. We need to go because, you know, we're taking, you know, we're, you know, you have us doing this job, which is like removing people from this society, want to see where they're going, you know?
Right, exactly.
So we get to the ferry. It's a ferry and it's steam powered, which is really interesting.
Oh,
It
okay.
had like a, when you go inside it had like this conductor. So the steam, there was no chimney. You know how they have steam powered things or have a chimney? No, the steam went down into the water and propelled it. Maybe if I went back into hypnosis, I could figure out the design a little bit better. It's like kind of hard to remember. But
was there any crystals on the ship by any chance?
well, I was just really cranky being on the ship because there's no place to sit and I was kind of old, you know, and I just had to sit, and it took about like 2 or 3 hours to get from the capital of Atlantis to this island. And so it's Julia and Kaya and I, and we're all old. Like Julia was bald. We're all old men.
Oh.
So we like finally get to this island, and meanwhile, when we're getting on the ship, because we demanded to get on the ship, they didn't want to let us on. And I'm like, why don't you want to let us on this ferry? You know, why?
They're afraid you're gonna find out about something.
Exactly. So as soon as we arrive to the island, our first thought is, where are all the people? You know, where do we have the wrong island? You know, we started fighting one another, like, where are the people? You know, some of us thought maybe in the back of our minds this wasn't a good idea. Like, we just knew we had been tricked.
Yeah.
So we get off the ferry and there's all this dust everywhere. It's like making us cough. There's so much dust, like covering up the sand. But there's like a big stone building. I go over to the building. It's an old abandoned building. There's absolutely no people there. There's no trace of people either. So at this point, we're all pretty like devastated to know like something happened to these people. We've been tricked, you know, basically just used, you know, used to send people to somewhere. We don't know where. So we get back on the ferry. We're going back. We're all like planning, how are we gonna, you know, save the people that are about to go on this ferry? We got to tell every single people we know. However, we know we're the only people that know about this. You know, we're gonna probably be killed, but we can't really be killed because we're well known there. You know, we're like the equivalent of like the Supreme Court maybe here. You know, so we're like, you know, Julia was like, you know, we got to think of a plan because you know they know we know. We gotta like,
right. Yeah.
We gotta figure this out. So we get off the ferry and right away we're taken away. Like, we don't go back to our chambers, and we're offered plea deals. Like, oh, you can keep your life if you know. And in Atlantis, it seemed like they didn't, I mean, they used money, but they would pay for all of our stuff. Like for me, I had a house, I had food, I had everything I wanted, parties, and I never really touched the money. They just, you know, they had it set so that I would just go to work, whatever. So they were saying, oh, you can keep your lifestyle, just don't tell anybody, you know, we want, you know, you don't have to keep doing this. We'll get somebody else to do it. And we were all like, no way, you know, no, we're gonna put an end to this. And dude, like, I get back to my chamber because I wanted to tell everybody. I guess I was so heartbroken because I'm like really upset. Like, I felt like my heart was breaking just thinking about the babies that had died, and like,
Right.
even like feeling kind of upset just talking about it. Like, it was just so upset that I felt like my heart broke and I had a heart attack and I died.
Oh no.
I know, but
Oh.
you know, Julie and Kaya did something to stop the island, but at that point I died and I didn't really exactly know what happened because I wasn't able to see with my physical eyes. You know, I'm sure I could find out if I were to go back in the scene. So anyway, it turns out that everybody in the class was actually there as well.
No way. No way.
Yes. So everybody in the class was either one of the mutated people that had been killed on that island, or they were mothers that were wondering what happened to their children.
Mm.
So the
What a coincidence.
what happened was, and then the SC told everyone, this is what happened on the island. So what happened on the island was they brought people over, always planning on killing them all, never telling anybody, but they sucked the moisture out of everybody and evaporated them. That was the dust on the island that we were coughing on. So they killed everyone. And the point of this whole thing was to teach our society, and it's why there's so many people reincarnating from these lifetimes on Atlantis, is we're entering in a new cycle of evolution, and we didn't learn in that one. Like, we pushed away people that were different from us, you know, as well as parts of ourselves that were different. And this is another cycle. We're trying to learn the same lesson again, and it's time to integrate, you know, and not be separate than one another, you know, not push away people that are different than us, as well as, you know, parts of ourselves. It's
Right.
like we're trying to learn this integration and get it right this time, so we don't have to repeat it for another 10,000 years.
Exactly. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I said a lot of this sounds familiar, because when you said like, oh, everybody's going to go to this island, they're going to live their life on this island. And I was thinking of World War II and, you know,
Oh, well,
yeah.
that's the thing. It is familiar because it's like history is repeating itself. It
Wow.
seemed to me like Nazi Germany, you know, like once again, here we go, pushing away people that we're afraid of, you know, just that are different than us, you know.
Right.
It's time to learn.
Now,
We're all equal.
did the SC say anything about how, and when I say SC, like the subconscious or the higher self,
Yeah.
did it say anything about how, you know, we shouldn't be playing around with animal DNA? Because that was one of the warnings in Forrest Cannon's books. Did it say anything about that?
Yes, I might have to talk to you in private about that because it might be a little bit difficult to talk about.
Okay.
Public, you know, because it's like a little bit.
Okay. Well, yeah, not a problem. What else did you see? What was going on? Like, how did the people, like, what kind of
So
building
after
technology?
they brought me out, there were a lot of people that remembered this lifetime, that they knew that they had been there, which was really funny because I was like, oh my gosh. There was one lady that said that all her life she had this really bad like cough, like there was something wrong with her throat and lungs, and that went away after the session.
I guess because of the dust and the smoke.
Yeah, and I think,
Lungs.
you know, sometimes just remembering something and realizing it's not from this lifetime is enough to just release and heal something.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and it just goes to show how much we were connected to our past lives.
yeah, I know. Seriously, sometimes just experiencing or remembering past life is enough to heal so many different things.
Interesting. So, is there any other reasons why they were playing around with DNA by any chance? Besides,
They were trying to get rid of some genetic disorders. It's just the same stuff. It's like a cycle. Like, it's like
Yeah,
keep,
we're trying to do the same thing
keep like
again.
doing it again,
Make superhumans and
essentially.
all that stuff, playing around with the DNA.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned ancient. Was there anything else from this session? Was there anything else?
Trying to remember.
Anything that what things look like? What the buildings look like?
Oh, that was interesting. Like my office building was stone, and the moats looked like concrete. Like it was yellowish. It was like if I were to walk around the moat, because I did walk around the first moat, it took me like 3 hours
Hmm. And
to
when you
walk
say
around
moat,
it.
like a
Yeah,
ditch?
it was like, oh, like water, like a canal.
Okay.
Like it was like the center of Atlantis, the capital, and then right around that capital was water. But you could walk around it, like there was like a walkway. Because I think everybody had these amazing sandals.
Yeah, they love to
You could
walk in.
walk. Yeah,
And
yeah.
these
Because it was
amazing
like
sandals.
somebody needs to like invent these sandals because like you could walk on like anywhere, and even if you were an old guy like I was, you could walk and feel comfortable.
I
Pretty
tell you what, you
amazing.
just sketch it out and start designing it.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I will.
So the buildings, were they made out of stone? Like, did it look advanced
So
or did it look like prehistoric?
it didn't look prehistoric. It it's like hard to compare it this this civilization. Like that wasn't the end of Atlantis. Like that wasn't the it seemed like, oh,
Like
okay, this is interesting. All right, well, instead of killing the people on the island after a while, I do know in my session I found out that they, instead of killing them, they decided to start testing them and figuring out what kind of abilities they had.
Yeah.
Because one of the leaders, I saw this after I died. I was like trying to figure out more.
Uh-huh.
One of the leaders of Atlantis had a child that actually was mutated because it had like been passed through her eggs. So she gave birth to a child with a mutation, and instead of killing that child, they decided to test it and see what kind of abilities it has. It turns out that a lot of people that are walking the planet today still have these abilities for some reason, and they're able to use crystals differently. Like they can put a crystal up to their forehead and read the crystal. They could also use it for healing. It's like an ability that's just innate within them somehow. So that was interesting.
Okay.
Do you have that ability?
I don't know.
I'm sure there was much more that they learned when they started testing them instead.
Got a crystal right here.
Oh, there you go. Can you read that, Jason?
It's cold. Might have to try it later on.
I know. Yeah, that was interesting. And you can tell if you, well, thousands and thousands of people died on that island.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on the planet today that experience that lifetime. That you can tell, well, they were saying if you could tell if it happened to you based on your connection with animals, if you feel a stronger connection to animals than humans, or if you feel you have memories of being an animal and you can't really understand why.
And that was for the people with the special abilities?
Yes, all of those people had special abilities because they started testing them. Maybe all humans in general have those abilities, but
right.
I don't know.
So what were they looking for, like psychic abilities?
They were just looking to test these people since they couldn't kill them anymore. They were trying to use them to their advantage. And I think they used them to develop more technology, but I'm not really sure what. I don't know.
Interesting.
That'll be something interesting to ask next time.
Yeah, absolutely. So they realized they couldn't send them to the island anymore, but that means they still continue
I think Julia and Kaya took care of the island. I don't know how, because I'd already died.
And they can't kill them anymore, but yet they still continue like the experiments to see who can do what.
Well,
God.
I think they stopped the experiments because it was creating so many problems for them, but they still had those people, and the mutated people will give birth to mutated people. And
Oh,
I believe that's what happened.
right. Wow. So
I
that
have to go
means,
back into hypnosis again to
right.
find out.
So the people that were having mutated DNA babies, then that means they were mutated as well. They were changing their DNA somehow.
Yeah. Mhm. So
Gotcha.
then it all was
So,
eventually destroyed.
right. So yeah, it sounds like possibly, if that wasn't, if it was, seemed like it was older, you probably went maybe a few hundred years before Atlantis truly destroyed.
Definitely, it wasn't right before the destruction.
Yeah,
So I
maybe
wonder,
100 or
like,
200.
isn't it, it's wild to think that there was so much more after that, like as far as the advancement of their technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, so was there anything else that you can recall? What was the parties like? Was it, what kind of music was it? Like a harp
Well,
music or?
I don't remember a harp, but I just remember like when you walked in, it was so grand. Like it was just extremely like nothing I've ever seen. Just so grand. The parties were amazing. Like all the food you could eat, all the food,
What kind of
or
food?
all you could drink. I saw some pancakey stuff. Lots of pudding. Weird, like and like pancakes was interesting. Like little things of meat, like rolled balls of meat. It's interesting. Um, and fruit. Lots of fruit. It was like red fruit
Yeah.
I've never seen before, with like a white middle to it.
That's
I don't
interesting.
know. Yeah,
That
that's
might be,
interesting.
now, did you have a sense of where Atlantis was? That would have been,
Oh, definitely. It it looked like close, like the capital was close to Egypt. Like there was water though. Like it looked like, all right, I'm in Florida, and you just go towards the Bahamas right there. That's where it would start, but it was like huge landmass in the ocean right there.
okay. So it goes along with the same theory. Everybody saying that Atlantis was in the Atlantic.
Yeah, that's
Straight
what it looked like to me as I was leaving the lifetime. I could see it, you know, when you die in,
Yeah, and you
in
go
your
up.
past life, you go up, and I was looking at it like,
Oh, no
oh,
way.
there's where it is,
You're like,
I
aha.
saw, yeah, I was like, oh, look at this. I hope I remember this when I wake up.
You're
So
gonna
I
have to get a
remember
map and like draw it out as you saw it, like where you saw it.
I can probably still do that.
And
Yeah,
send it to me, and I can
I'll
I
send
can
it.
add it to this video, and it'll be
Okay, I'll do that.
right
Okay, I'll
there.
do
That'd
that.
be pretty cool.
Okay.
Was Atlantis surrounded by mountains by any chance? Or did it have
I
any?
didn't see any mountains in the capital, or even as I was coming up after I died, I didn't um I didn't really notice that. I was more looking like, I think I was just looking at all the people that were still there and focusing on stuff like that. Like
Uh-huh.
it's interesting to get like a different perspective. Like when you leave and you get to go back home, which is so fun. You're like, yes, I'm leaving this physical reality and get to go back home with, my
Right.
real family.
And I do remember asking you if you had a past life in Atlantis, so this confirms it.
Oh, yeah. Yes. It's
I
so
did ask you
funny.
that, and you weren't too
Wait, I
sure.
knew you, right? I don't know.
I don't know. In one of your other mini sessions, when I think a session that you had with
Oh, with
Tracy,
Tracy?
yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
and I think
I
you
don't
was there when
remember.
Atlantis fell.
Oh, maybe. Huh.
You
That's
said that
interesting.
that I had these crystals, and I was doing something with the crystals at the time.
Seemed like they really knew how to use crystals there.
Yeah, they
They were
knew,
really in touch, and they knew that.
like they knew how to change like the molecular structure of a crystal, and they knew how to
Oh.
change it to where it was like a mini computer, or like, because if you think about it, a processor has silicone chips and everything.
Uh-huh.
So they kind of took that, you take that same concept, and since they're able to change stone and play with DNA, they did the same thing with crystals from what they say. And another story goes along with, you know, their ET brothers showed them how to, you know, find the right ones and use them a
Oh,
certain way.
wow.
And then at one time, they were getting more advanced than the people that taught them, you know? So, because this planet has more crystals and bigger crystals than the other planet. So they're like, oh, these people are getting pretty advanced with these these techniques, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it goes to show
Cool.
that we abuse those powers, and, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
we took that technology and used it for evil and good, but
Right.
there was an evil side to it.
Yeah. I think we're just learning, you know, we're all like playing different roles. We're trying to learn this lesson. So that,
Yeah, but that's interesting with the island part.
yeah, it was interesting too.
Um,
Wow, I've never heard that before.
did
About
they
the
ever,
island.
were they using some of these mutants as slaves by any chance?
I don't
Besides
think,
making them
I
more
don't know. I don't know. I didn't see that. That could have come after they got rid of the island, because what I
advanced?
saw, they were just getting rid of everybody, like Nazi Germany. It was like, maybe that, you know, how history repeats itself. Maybe that was the cycle I was in. So, you know, maybe that was what,
Right,
I don't know, like the equivalent to Nazi Germany.
right.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of that, because they were like just disintegrating these people. Horrible. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Nice. Was I guess I wasn't there in that lifetime.
Well, I don't know. I didn't look around and look for people. But I bet there were a lot of people I just didn't notice, you know.
Nice. Were you able to see anything else, like when you was growing up, by any chance? Did you notice anything when you was growing up?
I noticed that they use a lot of like shiny wood, like everything looked wooden but shellacked, which was interesting. It was like a stone building. Oh, yeah, there was something else that was pretty cool. Like I could play with the lights. Because like if I lifted my arm up, I could turn the lights on as it came from within the stone. And then I put my arm down and it shut off, up, down. Like kind of like the same, like something, you know.
That's
It was just
interesting.
fun to do while I was supposed to be studying. But I felt like you had to use your mind a little bit too, like to ask it to turn on. So it's connected to your mind somehow. I don't know how.
Right.
But that's what I think.
That was going to
Yeah.
be one of my questions is did you see any lights, like, you know, like
Yeah, they were
to light
inside.
up
They
the
were like
building?
they were built into the building. Even in my law office, it's built into the building. And
Hmm.
there was like some kind of like animal bone, like making symbols on the walls. Like it was like a burgundy color inside my law chamber, and then with white animal bone,
Hmm.
making like different designs and lots of wood.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I looked at, because you know my husband owns like a boat dealership, so I wanted to see the boats. You know, look at the
Yeah, of
boats,
course.
and they were
Let's look at the
rowboats,
boats.
so you know, no outboard engines or anything like we
Gotcha.
sell. Yeah, so it was
Nice.
interesting.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would think that you was probably 100 years before the, or 200 years before it fell,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. It was definitely before. Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, but people were light skinned, most of the people, which was interesting. A lot of like really blue eyes.
Gotcha. Did any of them have like purple hair or purple
I
eyes?
didn't know, everybody looked like regular people. And I know in other sessions other people have had, they had purple eyes. I didn't see that. Although, you know, maybe as they continue to do genetic experiments, that
Yeah,
could have been what happened. It
right.
just
Maybe
looked
they,
like it looked regular. Like like, you know, regular humans mixed with animals, which is not regular.
Right.
And the lights are not regular. So, you know.
Interesting. And I would like to add that, you know, you bring up interesting points because this confirms what Dolores Cannon was talking about, how they were, you know, like a girl broke her legs and they couldn't save her legs. You know, if the easy way, they had to do it the hard way to save her legs. And they were like, well, we have these horse legs over here. Let's just
Right,
take these legs from the horse and let's see what we can do and let's see what we can make. And they took, you know, the animal legs and put it on her, and she wakes up and she's like, oh my God, like where's my legs at? You know, what are
right,
these things right here? And like, you know, the girl always had a pain in her leg for the longest time and never knew why.
right,
And that's because
right.
they cut her good legs off, you know, at a good, you know, at the thigh level, removed them and gave her the other legs. And now she knows why. Oh,
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Are you
So
still
now she
there?
knows.
I think my
Yeah.
battery's dying.
Oh no. So,
I
you know, she
know.
knows why, you know, her legs were always having problems, you know? So, because of
That's amazing. I
experience.
mean, it really goes along with what I saw. You know, the genetic experiments, I think, were maybe one of the reasons why that civilization just wasn't going to work anymore on the planet. You know.
Right. And they did say that, you know, they're warning us. It's like, y'all doing it again, and we're here to warn y'all
Right.
that y'all doing this again. Y'all need to
I
stop.
I definitely got the sense they were trying to tell us not to, like, to learn the lesson of not excluding people that are different just because of
Yes.
the way they look, or just that integration in this time space reality is key. It's what we're here to learn.
Right.
And
Don't
it's
exile
because,
the people. Don't get rid
yeah,
of them.
we're parts of yourself, like integration time.
Right,
Like,
right. Absolutely.
yeah. And what's wild about that woman, like, always having pain in her legs?
Hmm.
And it was just from that lifetime.
That's interesting because I'm seeing this pattern. You go to Mount Shasta, you
Yeah,
go to past life that dealt with Mount Shasta. You
yeah,
go to Egypt. I'm assuming you had a past life. And
yeah. That'll be the next one I tell you about.
nice. We're going to do that one again. And now you go to Miami, and now you bringing up Atlantis.
Oh, well, I just kind of feel like they're using me to get stories out. I'm fine with that.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to bring these stories to other people because it's all about, you know, supporting one another and awakening this, you know, this memory that we've all pushed so deep down. I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with this, and maybe they have these memories. They just don't talk about it.
Yes. If this resonates with you, leave a comment below. So definitely tell us your story about it. Absolutely. Yeah. Because if someone's watching this video, they probably have a connection towards it too.
Yeah, there's probably a reason they're watching this video.
For the parties, were people dressed all the same for the parties?
No,
Like
they were all like, it
clothing
seemed
wise?
like, it really seemed like the more well off you were, that people really like really soft, silky outfits. Like, you could tell who was of an upper class if they wore soft outfits. That was like what was cool.
And
So
when
it
you
was
say
like whose
soft
outfit
outfit,
is softer.
silk, like silk.
They had silk, kind of silky, but soft. Like, when I was growing up and I was a kid in Atlantis, my clothes are really rough and coarse. And then as I got more successful, my clothes were really soft. I hope my battery doesn't die on me, just warning you. But
Okay,
yeah, it
we're
looked
gonna
like
power through it. We're gonna power through it.
it looked like that was at the time period, that was like what they wore. Like silky soft clothes, but like clothes. Like, you wouldn't see those type of clothes. I'm trying to think of how I would describe them. Like, I definitely had some animal skins actually.
Okay, like animal skin clothing.
Yeah, there was some animal skin clothing, but it looked like I think everything that was invented is being reinvented. Like, it looked like silk clothing. Like, there were pants. Like, people had pants. and
Oh,
shirt.
yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah. And to go on top of that, that's true because they said that there's a lot of similarities between the time of Atlantis and the time now, and that's one of the reasons
yeah,
why so many people are reincarnating from that time period to now is because there's so many similarities between the two.
yeah,
So,
definitely.
do you remember any of the languages in the book, like with the letter
Oh yeah,
in the
it was
book?
like triangles.
Okay, so the book had
Lots of
triangles.
triangles. Yeah, it was just like
So I guess they used a lot of symbols as well, right? Like in their
it
writing.
didn't look like it wasn't like Egyptian because like I was thinking that maybe it would be like Egyptian hieroglyphics. It didn't look like that at all. Like
Yeah,
bits and pieces of triangles.
yeah.
It was like and some hooks. I'll just like try to. I'll put myself in hypnosis and try to figure this out.
That's interesting. I didn't think it would
Me
be triangle or triangles or angles.
either. I thought it would be like Egyptian writing or symbols, like even in Native American use symbols.
You think it was there's I think Sumerian. You know how it looks like very tight triangles and they were using a triangle like some will go this way and then two will go that way.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
You think it was Sumerian?
yeah.
You know what I'm
I
talking
think,
about, the Sumerian tablets?
yes, it's probably that. I have to look at it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
interesting.
confirm that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you a message. They used to use like
Okay.
this, like a pin or a stick, and it had like a triangle on it, and they'll move it like this, and then move it like that. Make
Oh,
these.
that's really interesting. Okay.
So when you were
Yeah,
saying
send me a
triangle, I was
picture.
thinking like like they were doing triangles like this, and like that type of
Right,
triangle, and piecing them together.
right. Show me a picture or I'll look it up and
Yeah,
I'll check out the Sumerian text. It's interesting.
yeah, to see if that's what you was looking at.
Yeah.
For the hieroglyphs, it was interesting. They created that so the locals could read the language because they said
Oh,
their
okay.
language is too complicated.
Huh.
So
A
yeah,
lot of interesting stuff.
nice, nice. Did anything else come out the session, like from the higher self? Did the higher self say anything else?
Not really. I didn't have that much time to talk. There was a lot going on. So
Not who? Was it
yeah.
a student that put you
It
on?
was a student that was putting me under. Yeah.
Oh, lucky student.
I know. I think she didn't know what she was going to get herself into because I warned her. I said, please just, you have to count me out. I'm going to go so deep that you can't just say, open your eyes because I won't really be here. Like, count me out, please. And I might cry and shake a little bit. Just, it's fine. So I think she was a little in shock when my eyes rolled to the back of my head. But other than
Oh my
that, she was
goodness.
okay.
Was that during the session? Your eyes rolled
And
back?
then some people told me in the front that was sitting there that my eyes rolled to the back of my head and they were a little scared. And I was
Don't
like,
worry about
well, that happens.
it. There.
It's just, yeah,
About
it's
that.
just
That's
bad.
interesting. What are the odds
Yeah.
that Julia and Kaya would be there? What are the odds of that?
I mean, I know. Well, it was really funny because afterwards, we were like back in class and Julia was talking about some of her other past lives, and then one of the students had her hand up, and Julia called on her. She's like, "Is this from that life, or is this from the lifetime, when you killed us all?" It was like, "Oh God, like we didn't kill you guys." It was like,
Yeah, yeah. Y'all were trying to
oh,
protect them. Y'all were
yeah.
the judges, and y'all were trying to protect
It
them.
was just funny, like the way she said it, like from the lifetime where you killed us all, It was just like, oh
Oh my
God.
goodness. Were there
But
was there anything in the sky? Were you able to see any like
they
glider?
didn't have hovercrafts then.
Okay.
So they had boats. They didn't have any
Gotcha.
sky transportation yet.
Now, do you remember a life in Atlantis where they did have advanced technology?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Not yet.
I don't know. I might have gone there with Tracy, but I don't remember that session because I usually forget. It like
Hmm.
kind of feels like a dream a little bit.
Yeah.
Fades. So yeah,
You mentioned,
Tracy could tell you better than I could
right,
about that.
absolutely. That's one of the stories as well that, later on they became so advanced. They did have like these machines that could,
Well, I know that. I've seen that in other people's sessions, but not me personally.
okay,
Yeah, I have seen many people describe Atlantis like there's, they can come and go as they please, and no
right.
one
Now,
sees them.
are these from your clients?
Yeah, from my clients.
Oh, well, shoot, talk about that.
Oh, well, I
Because
mean, I've heard it.
She does past life regression, and she has clients that come to her for QHHT sessions. So, what's some of the things you're finding out from your clients?
Yeah, that they used to travel in these like kind of like hovercraft, but they could disguise themselves. It seems like that's what my clients have talked about in their sessions, and then they would show up out of the blue and come out. And that's when my clients would talk about this like kind of like space suit thing that was like it would like kind of protect their body and regulate their heat. So they would wear this kind of like
That's right. I
interesting
think
suit.
right, right. I remember
Maybe
you
I was
talking about
going to do
this.
that. Yeah,
Mhm.
that was really interesting. But I didn't see that in my session because I went, before that time.
Gotcha.
Oh,
I might have to see if I could put you under, see if you can
yeah. Yeah. Well, I can put myself under. I just need somebody to guide me.
yeah, you did mention that. So how does that work? You mentioned that once
Okay.
before.
I'll tell you how to do it. Okay.
Okay.
This is how you do it. So for 1 week, every morning when you wake up and you still have access to your dreams, really get used to that state. Like really memorize what it feels like to be in that state. And to do that for like 1 week. So just so you can like really understand what it feels like to be in the theta state. That's the theta state. So then after that, when I'm lying down, I want to put myself into hypnosis, like on the spot or something. I'll do this breathing. It's like the breath of fire. Well, like I don't know if you can see me. Hold on, like this. I don't think you'll be able to see, but I'll
Right.
breathe in really deep, and I'll exhale like. But
So
my intention,
you
I
breathe in
breathe in
really
from
deep.
my diaphragm
Uh-huh.
and exhale with my diaphragm, but quickly, like.
Very quickly.
And what I'm doing is the intention is to breathe out your worries, any thoughts for the time being. Like they might come back later, but for right now, I'm breathing them out so that I can focus on stillness. Then after I've done that and I feel like, oh, I don't have any thoughts or worries for a little bit, I'll make myself really, really still. And the trick is to make your eyes really still. So I'll literally focus so much on stillness. And since I have that state memorized, when I start to feel it coming in, it'll start to come in as you focus on stillness after you've let all your problems go out. You focus on the stillness until you can feel that state creeping into your body. It feels really blissful. And then you let it really submerge your body. So you're fully in that state of the theta state. And then from there, if somebody guides you or if you want to reprogram your mind or do whatever you want with hypnosis, you can, do anything in that state. It's amazing. You can figure out questions you have for the universe,
Nice. That's
whatever. Or
interesting.
you could just see me in the
Yeah.
keys.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I will help you.
because you need a navigator. So, you need someone to
Yeah,
navigate.
I really need a navigator. When I get into the state myself, it's usually, just to maybe hypnotize myself. Maybe I want to lose weight for a vacation, or I want to feel good, or I just want to like heal my body. You can use it for whatever you want. But as far as like regression and past life regression, I need a navigator because I would just fall asleep.
Yeah,
So
makes
I
sense.
can't stay in that state without either talking or being navigated. If I'm going to go deep, like I have to have a navigator.
Right.
But
It sounds like you can easily fall in deeper and like go to sleep.
yeah, you can. You have to be careful of that.
Right.
Or you can just use it to go to sleep at night, which is great too.
So you're in Miami right now. Was this
Yes,
the first session that you had and you
yes, this is
experienced
the
this?
first session for the QHHT level 2 in Miami. So
Nice.
yeah, that was my first session. But yeah, I'm done teaching this week, and then I'm going to go back and see clients and help them with their problems and change their life. So
Absolutely.
so exciting.
Do you have
This job
another session coming up, or is that it? Just that one
for me, or for I have
for
clients
you?
next week. I
Okay.
have a lot of clients. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you had another while you was in Miami, if you had another session.
No, I leave tomorrow and I go back home,
Okay. And
ready to
where,
help other
what,
people.
tell everybody where home is.
Oh, I live in Big Pine Key, Florida. And you
Nice.
can
Big-
visit me, www.thetholistichypnotist.com,
Absolutely. Now I have the
right
link down below
in
in the
Florida.
description. So people could make a trip out of it because you're not too far from Key West, correct?
I'm only like 40 minutes from Key West. And
Okay.
it's really beautiful where I live. I mean, it's a great
Somebody could stay
destination
there.
place. Yeah, it's beautiful. My office overlooks the ocean, and sometimes you can see dolphins. And
Nice.
it's very relaxing. It's a safe and supportive environment, where you can really heal yourself and look inwards and help yourself in whatever way you need to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you can make a trip out of it.
Yeah.
Whole, vacation, beautiful place. I mean, it's a win-win
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
You mentioned dolphins. Did you have that
Yeah.
sense that Atlantis was very connected to the dolphins by any chance?
I'm sure it was from other people's sessions, but I didn't see that in my session. But I've heard so many people talk about how it's connected to dolphins, which I'd love to go into in my own session, but from other people's session, it seems like
Right.
maybe they were watching out for everybody there, or communicating with the people there. I'm not really sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to look into that.
What did some of the people look like with the mutated DNA? What did they look like?
Like they would have like gills.
Oh, gills?
Uh-huh.
Oh, like they're trying to
Or
create like fish people?
yeah, fish people. Or they would have like cat-like features, like look like feline-esque. Or they would have like a lizard, like lizard skin. Or like, they're just
Wow.
it would stand out to the part where they look different. And I think that's why they were trying to get rid of them.
Interesting. And so you could tell right away that, hey, this individual had, their DNA changed and they
Well,
look like a cat or a lizard.
you could tell, but I think what the government wanted to do is like kill everybody that was different in any way, because they were the ones that made the mistake. Also, it's, like some of them would get violent, like against one another, which really, like, everybody should just come together and try to help one another instead of,
Right, right.
you
Yeah, it
know,
wasn't their fault that
killing them. Yeah, I
it wasn't their
know.
fault they got changed.
Right, it wasn't at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm, mm, mm.
Let's learn in this
Now
life.
you mentioned some of them had gills, like they could breathe underwater.
Yeah, they could breathe underwater. Mhm.
Wow. And do you think that's where the stories of the mermaids came from, by any chance?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. That's a really great question. If they could breathe underwater, wouldn't that make them like a mermaid?
Yeah,
I don't know.
because that's one of
Huh.
the Matador and the mermaids. That's where those stories come from. The Greek stories come from. You know,
That's interesting. Wow, Jason, I never thought about that.
yeah,
Huh.
that would be pretty interesting to
Will
reconfirm that.
do.
You know,
Yeah. Well, I'm going to send you a picture. I'm going to try to draw where I think Atlantis was and
yes,
send it
yes,
to
that'd be
you.
cool. And what it looked like, from what you can
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Did it look like it had 3 rings?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. The capital. Yeah.
The capital, and then it
Yeah.
had like land around it.
Yeah. There's plenty of like farmland around it. and like land around it. It looked like they grew a lot of things, with a lot of plants and fruit and stuff like that.
Wow. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be
Yeah, it would be cool.
interesting. Yeah, and then if there's any rivers or mountains, that'd be pretty neat too.
That'd
So
be pretty cool. I don't know. I'm sure.
now, do you know where Bermuda is? Like the Bermuda?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right where it was, like started, yeah.
Okay. See, that's kind of like another confirmation as well.
Yeah,
You know?
it was huge though, like huge. Like if you think of it like from like Bermuda in the Atlantic, like it makes sense it's called Atlantis. From what I saw when I was like, yay, I'm dying, a great feeling.
Now, well, how about this? When you left your body, now you seen it from above. Where did you
Yeah.
go? Do you remember where you went?
Yeah, I just went back to that like amazing place that, when you go after you're done in life and you get to reunite with your family and
Mm-hmm.
choose your next life, and it feels like amazing. Like you have no cares in the world. It's so good. Everything's wonderful. And you're like, oh, you played that role? Well, you did okay. You could have done this or whatever, but you did a great job. I
Nice.
saw my mate, the one that had died, and my child right after I died. So I was super happy to reunite with them. And then they kind of took me back to the in between line.
The what?
They were with me when I was leaving. They
Interesting.
came to like get me. Yeah.
When you was up in the clouds or when you was up in
Yeah, like right after I died. Like I had a heart attack and I saw them right away and they were like, come on, let's go. And
come
then
on.
so I was like lifting up, looking back, and I just kind of like, there were no words, but it was just, they went with me and we went to that in between live place that's so amazing and blissful. And
Was it also like a review of your life? Were you
yeah, yeah, I definitely reviewed the life and went over, what I could have done. My lesson in that lifetime was to trust my instinct, that there was nothing wrong with me for being upset with the way these people were treated. And I should have trusted my intuition. It's
yeah.
my lesson in that lifetime. And that was like one of the purposes why I had that life, was to learn to trust my intuition.
Well, I think you did
I
pretty good. I knew something was
Yeah,
wrong. You knew
right?
something was wrong.
Yeah.
In the afterlife, what did that look like for the people that
Um,
haven't experienced the past life before?
well, it looked like whatever you wanted to create was possible. So like I know from other death experiences of past life regression that it's really wonderful. It's like the feeling of a relief times a million. And then, but you do want to go back into a life because it's fun to be in the 3D reality where you can like eat food and really experience this world. But it's also fun on the other side where you like take a break. You kind of take a break and it's just like, oh, I want to be on the beach. Okay, you're on the beach. Oh, I want to learn this method. Oh, you're learning that method. Or,
Yeah,
you
it's
can go
more
to
like
classes,
it's like very
wherever
instant.
you want.
Yeah,
It's
very
instant.
instantaneous.
There's nothing weighing you down. There's no restrictions either. You have access to all the knowledge and you feel like love because you're connected with all that is. You feel like the love is overwhelming a little bit for a human,
Right.
It's just there's so much love there. And really that love is always with you on the physical plane, but we just aren't really aware of it.
Interesting. You mentioned loved ones. It had me thinking, do you think any of your loved ones in that life is related to the loved ones in this life by any chance?
Oh my God, such a good question. Probably.
I wouldn't
I
doubt
don't
it.
know
I would think
who.
so.
Yeah, it's such a good question.
Like
I'm
maybe
sure.
your husband switched roles, like in that life,
Oh
he was
yeah.
the wife, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
and now in this life,
probably.
he's the husband.
Right. Yeah. Uh-oh. battery is dying.
Uh-oh.
My bad. I better go.
Okay. Yeah, because you're about to
Oh,
go to dinner, correct?
yeah, whenever they're done teaching, they're running late today.
Gosh,
Julia and Kaya.
gotcha. And you're teaching as
Kaya's day. Yeah, I just finished teaching my own class. I taught the level 1 companion class and finished that. But I was helping them teach the level 2. Fun. It's just such an amazing group of people. It's great to help other people become practitioners. But if your listeners want to take a class, a level 1 class, they can go to the website www.qhhtofficial.com and type in the code TRUST at checkout for 10% off.
10% off, people. Type in the word
Bargain.
trust.
Yeah.
Nice. And that's for the individuals that's interested in learning QHHT.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, interesting stuff. I'm so glad you told me about it. That is fascinating and interesting.
No,
So,
it's so interesting.
and I guarantee you, if you had one life in Atlantis, I guarantee you had more than one.
I'm sure, because I really got the sense that, yeah, I think the SC even said there's never been this many people from Atlantis or from that time period
Yes.
reincarnated, because we're still learning that lesson. So we're learning that lesson again, essentially.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't be surprised if we've all been in this together for many, many thousands of years. Just
oh, absolutely.
trying it once again to get it right. Don't exclude yourself or anybody else.
Nice.
It's integration time.
How about this? The people that was in the class, were there the same people that was at the party?
No, because those were mutated people.
Oh, okay, at the party.
So the people from the class, maybe there were,
Okay, I
but
see what you're
a
saying.
lot of them had wondered, for some reason, what happened to them. And they wanted to know all their, that surrounded it. And they wanted to heal from that lifetime. So now that they understand where it came from, they could release and heal that life.
So that was like a group healing as well.
It was a group healing. Yeah.
Oh,
I have had a healing from somebody else's past life before, which is interesting. Like, I know that can happen. So it's funny that since I had that experience, this happens to the group, which is interesting.
And what are the odds that all
are
in the class? You know what I mean?
No, I know. I feel like I know. And it's been like something like that with each class. It's like
Right.
different groups get together and you think it's just coincidence, but there's no coincidence.
And what's funny is when we did level 2 and you had your session with Tracy, I think that was one of the things in that level 2 class that one of the questions was what brought us all together, and then we were part of that end times of Atlantis. That's
Yeah.
with the destruction, and I was out there with the crystals, and that's interesting that level 2 class was part of that.
I think it's just
that group.
When you do one of these type of things, or you probably even your group of friends, you've known each other for thousands of years.
I know, huh?
Time, yeah. Just reuniting, trying out the same lessons, or maybe you want to play a different role. Someone's got to be the jerk.
yeah, it can't all be smooth sailing. Here's a popular
Wouldn't learn anything.
From your point of view, what time frame you think this was for Atlantis? Like, how far back do you think you're going? You think it was like 10,000 years, 12,000 years?
I don't know. Like, how far back from this cycle of history?
Yeah.
Like,
from this year, like how far back was that?
Oh, from this year?
Did you felt like it was 10,000 years?
30,000 years or something?
Oh, okay. All right, so that's way back.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like way back.
Oh, that's a huge difference. Okay.
But I don't know. This is just a guess.
Yeah. Well, if they put you under, when you do your self-hypnosis, maybe you can hurry up and ask that question.
Yeah. I'll have Tracy help me. I'll find out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Or you can just
I'm up. I'm up
guide
for
me.
the challenge.
Yeah.
I'm up for the challenge.
That'd be cool.
Nice. Speaking of that, we need one of the questions, and this is on my other YouTube channel, Jason with QRE. One of the questions I asked Tracy when she was channeling is that, are we going to be doing any events? And she said, yes, somewhere east and south. So
Oh, well, that sounds like
I'm
Key
like,
West.
who's
I
out
think we
there?
should do it at my house because it's beautiful over there.
Absolutely.
Let's do it at my
Absolutely.
house.
Do a little
We have
gathering.
like a retreat or something.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll make a fire outside, or
Mhm.
no one just stare at the stars.
Absolutely. And because we're going to do the ESETI thing, so we're
Yeah,
talking about that in August. So the
that's
ESETI thing.
really exciting.
And there's supposed to be another one. And I'm like, who else is out there? East Coast.
Who else? That would be really, really cool. Maybe we could do like, yeah, like Tracy could do, I don't know, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
The light language, and yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be just fun. Have an event. We'll see how we all know the souls that choose to join that event.
Interesting.
That'd be
Since we're
interesting.
so close to Miami and the Bahamas, I mean, we got to have some Atlantis stories come up.
Oh, of course. Yeah. No. We'd be
Fasc-
really close.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Mm.
Let's plan it.
Absolutely. Was there anything that you felt like, as the Atlanteans were world travelers by any chance? Did you feel any of that or came across any of that?
Well, they definitely had boats, but the boats weren't really, well, the steam engine boat was pretty high tech, actually.
It does
So
sound
they
interesting.
probably were. They probably were world travelers. Because that was like 3 hours away, and how did they even find that island? They probably traveled all over the place.
Yeah.
The steam-powered boat was pretty interesting. It's like they had already found a way to harness energy, obviously.
Right. Yeah, because they were using the stones. So, you think it was like crystals in the stone that would light up?
Those magnetized. They're using magnets.
Like regular magnets?
I think so.
Yeah.
To like power the engine.
What is funny that you said magnets. In one of the books, they say they used to activate the crystals, and I'm like, how would you activate the crystal? I was like,
oh, that makes sense. Probably with magnets.
And I'm like, would you use magnets?
Maybe.
And here you are saying, I think they use magnets. I'm like, I've said that.
Lots of correlations. We'll put all these dots together, like connecting all the dots, you know?
I know, it's like a journey by itself.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting. Yeah, because that was a big thing that they kept on saying is, like, we knew how to activate them. And it's like, well, how do you activate them? And it said, to be determined, you're not ready for that knowledge now. It's later on kind of thing. So I was like, oh, okay. And I thought about it. I was like, how would you activate a crystal back then? Is it magnets?
That's really interesting. I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's your memories resurfacing.
I don't know. Something's going on.
Yeah. We're all on this journey. We should all like work together and find out all this information so we can share it with one another.
Absolutely. So that was cool. So you will raise your arm and it'll light up the room.
Yeah. The lights were within the stone.
Would the stone light up like a glow, or would like a light bulb?
A light would just come on. It was like within the stone, so it would be enough light to light up the room, but the stone would also light up. It was like in the stone.
Like you see a stone, and the next you know it, you're looking at the stone, and something will light up inside the stone.
Yeah, there'll be enough light for the whole room.
Wow, that's like one of those movies. I'm trying to.
I know. We should write a movie.
I'm working on it. Guardians of Magic.
Cool. Well, there you go. Don't forget the island.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Yeah, the island's in there. So But
cool.
in my story, there's mountains in my story.
Oh, well, that's cool. There probably were mountains.
Yeah, especially if it was a huge landmass. So
Yeah.
there's probably some mountains. But even some of the islands like St. Thomas and St. Martin, they have mountains. Or St. Kitts, they have mountains down there, and those are islands.
Right. I know Lemuria had mountains.
Yes, yes, it did. Yes, I remember that conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty.
Well, I better go before my phone dies. And you're like, where did
Absolutely,
Sarah go?
absolutely. And let's continue this conversation. Let's talk about
Yeah,
the
I'm
one
going to tell you
with
about Egypt later.
ancient Egypt. Yes,
Yes,
can't
it's
wait.
pretty cool.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, it was nice talking with you.
Same here.
Glad we could catch up, and
Yeah,
we'll have to plan something for the Keys.
absolutely.
Maybe a little Atlantis excursion too.
Yeah, that would be the theme.
Be really cool.
Yeah, that would be the theme.
Yeah,
It's pretty neat.
pretty cool.
All right, Sarah, you take
All
care.
right, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.